Tom Ford, the fashion guy, he just dropped over $100 million on a mansion in London. Alexandra Daddario just sold her awesome mid-century modern home in LA. And Rosie O'Donnell's old South Florida mansion is back on the market. This time, they're asking $54 million. Today, let's dive into some of the top celebrity real estate headlines from the last couple weeks. Now, I'm not trying to get political, but I want to start off with kind of a funny one. So, it's kind of widely known at this point that Mark Cuban absolutely hates Donald Trump, but how about this? Cuban has actually secretly owned a condo in Trump Tower for the past 24 years. It's a 3,700 square foot condo on Central Park West. He paid $13.5 million for it, and his unit sits on the 45th floor of the building. Cuban originally bought this thing under the entity, the Radical Revocable Trust. This is pretty common for billionaires and celebrities to buy real estate under trust or LLCs because that does generally help them to remain more anonymous. And he probably preferred that he stayed anonymous on this one because he's just been so outspoken about how much he doesn't really like President Trump. Now, we don't have any photos of Mark's specific unit because he bought this thing a long time ago, but I was able to dig up a unit right above his unit that was for sale recently. So check this place out. They were asking 20 million bucks for this condo. I think one of the biggest selling points of this tower is the fact that you're right on Central Park. I mean, these are your views. I don't know if this particular unit was ever remodeled, but for a building this old, it actually has decent looking finishes inside. Okay, I take that back. I really don't like the kitchen, but thankfully we have this green park outside of the window to give us a little pop of color. Probably the master bedroom. Here's the office. And there's a closer up of what you get to look out to every day if you live in this place. Technically, these condo units are sitting above the Trump International Hotel. So in reality, I don't even know if the Trump name is associated with the condo that Cuban owns, but it's just kind of funny and ironic to see that he owns a condo in this building after everything that he said over the last couple of months. Next, we need to talk about Kanye. Kanye just dropped $35 million on a 20,000 square foot mansion in Beverly Park North. Now, this guy has been in the news a lot lately after he tore up that Daddario mansion in Malibu and then sold it for a $40 million loss just a few months back. But I guess that loss didn't set Kanye back all that much. He's already moved on. His new house has 11 bedrooms, 18 bathrooms, like I said, 20,000 square feet. So I think he actually got a decent deal. He only paid 844 bucks per square foot, although he did pay over $10 million more than the last buyer paid for this place back in 2022. The house has very cool architecture. It was actually designed by the architect Richard Landry. Here's the front of the house. To be honest, it's kind of hard to even tell where the front door is on this place, but I'm pretty sure it is this door right here next to the garages. This lot's really unique. It's kind of like a long, skinny rectangle, and so the house stretches the length of the lot, so it's connected with these bridges and hallways and stuff. That might make for kind of a weird floor plan inside, but it looks cool from the outside. Out back, you got a couple of fire features, a nice sized swimming pool, a big lawn, and this is not a view property. The value in this house is definitely all about the location and the privacy. Okay, I was wrong before. This is definitely the front door, and this is what you see when you walk through the front door. I actually really like all the wood paneling on the walls. Like, if I was sitting down with my designer or architect and they proposed that we put wood on the floors and wood on the walls, I'd probably think that that was gonna be too much, but it actually looks nice. There's definitely some details in here, though, that would be very tough to pull off building-wise anyway, like this curved ceiling in the great room. Here's the office. This looks like a sitting area in a hotel. Very big dining room. And finally, at photo number 18, they show us the kitchen. This little breakfast nook is awesome. Like, look how lush the landscaping is outside of these windows. Overall, this house is very, very different from the Daddario house that Kanye recently owned in Malibu. That place was all concrete, and he was stripping it down to nothing. So seeing a house with a lot of natural stone and a lot of woodwork throughout is a very sharp contrast to what I thought that Kanye was into, but I like it. Maybe this is gonna mellow him out a little bit. We'll see. Next, let's talk about Star Island. This is one of the most iconic places to live in the entire United States, and there's only one built house for sale here right now. It was previously owned by Rosie O'Donnell, and they're asking $54 million. This neighborhood has been a hot spot for celebrities forever now. Rick Ross, Jennifer Lopez, Shaquille O'Neal have all owned real estate here. Rosie sold her house over a decade ago, though, and when she sold it, she only got $16.5 million. The South Florida market has absolutely exploded since she sold this house. In hindsight, she probably should have held on to it. Here's the house, you guys. On this one, we're working with 8 bedrooms, 11,000 square feet, which puts the pricing on this house at almost $5,000 per square foot. Here's what it looks like from the outside. It's a very interesting style of architecture. It seems like they're trying to do like 3 things at once here. This is what it's all about though. You got the palm trees everywhere. You're looking right out at the water. You've got a spot to park your yacht. It's weird. Palm trees aren't usually considered privacy trees, but there are so many on this lot that you actually can't really see into the house too much from the water. This is what you see when you get inside the house, right behind the front door, with a frightening statue under the stairs. The listing actually says that this house was built way back in 1923. So when we flick through some of these photos, you're gonna notice some features that might feel a little bit dated, but for the right buyer, they're gonna look at these details as being cool and historic versus dated. The blue island with the wood top though, I think that was more of a modern touch. They weren't doing kitchens like this in 1923. The listing description tells us that there's multiple different entertaining areas throughout this house, which that's just really a fancy way of saying that this house does not come with an open floor plan. It's hard for me to say, like, does the buyer of this house just accept it as is and move in and enjoy it? Or do they completely remodel this place? Or do they decide to tear it down and rebuild? I can't imagine the logistics of rebuilding a house on Star Island. It would probably take you years just because of the unique location here, getting on and off the island with all the labor and materials. Plus, I mean, let's face it, it's a pretty cool house. It'd be a shame to tear this thing down. It would also be a shame to remove all this landscaping. So my crystal ball is telling me that whoever buys this house, they're gonna buy it because they love the house, and maybe they'll spruce it up a little bit, but they'll probably move into it and leave it relatively unchanged. Just to give you an idea though, there is some people proposing new development around here. Just a few doors down, they're asking $38 million for this house, but this is for just a lot. See, technically there is an old house here right now, it's that one, but the way they're marketing it, they basically like green out the house so it looks like it's an empty lot, and the sales agent here is proposing that whoever buys this house builds something more modern and contemporary, kind of like this house you see in the rendering. So there is some tear down activity happening on Star Island, and you got to admit, if someone builds that house right there, that'd be pretty cool. Tom Ford just dropped $104 million on a mansion in London. This makes for the priciest home sale in the UK this whole year. Believe it or not, this buy came during a slump in the London luxury property market, meaning that at $104 million, I guess he still kind of got a deal on this house. I hate to do this to you guys, but we basically know nothing about Tom's new mansion. It's a very private transaction. There's no photos or transaction details online. In fact, I don't even think that they have homes.com or Zillow in London. All we know is that his new house is somewhere in the Chelsea district. The Post is reporting that it's located between Hyde Park and the north bank of the River Thames. Now moving on to my favorite house of the day, Alexandra Daddario just sold her home in LA. She got $2.9 million. It sounds like Alex and her husband maybe just needed some more space. They bought the house in May of 2023, but they did just have their first child. It is a 2,400 square foot house though. It's got 4 bedrooms, so I don't know, maybe they didn't need more space. I really have no idea why these guys moved. The description calls this a 1950s post and beam architectural treehouse. The architect's name was Matt Kivlin. Don't hate me, I've actually never heard of Matt Kivlin before, but he did an awesome job. It's a little busy inside, and it's kind of like compartmentalized inside too. It reminds me a little bit of Rosie O'Donnell's old house where you've got all these separate rooms throughout. You know, it's more common with these mid-century modern houses to actually have bigger open great rooms in them, kind of like you see nowadays. I love this pony wall between the dining room and the kitchen where it just looks like one big block of stone separating the rooms. As I flip through these photos, I guess it's possible that since they just had their first kid, maybe they didn't look at this house as super kid friendly. That could be it. When you look at a view like this, you realize why they nicknamed this house the tree house too, because that's your view. You're looking right out to tree canopies. Very cool place, very cozy, a lot of finishes that are honestly timeless, that you could just kind of leave here forever and they'll be cool forever, at least in my opinion. And fun fact, Architectural Digest actually featured this house back in 2022. That's a wrap for today's episode, you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button down below before you go if you enjoyed the video. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go as well. We're putting out multiple videos per week here on the Estate Media YouTube channel. I'll see you guys next time.